Janice Pettigrew.
Yes.
And you're going to share your testimony of how you've overcome limitations and things that have seemed impossible, and how you have overcome them by the grace of God. And you've put your testimony into a powerful book called The Journey to a Fresh Start. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, my story began actually when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And that's when I was gang raped. And I walked 2 miles home and never told a soul until I was 42 years old.
You never told a soul.
I never told a soul.
How were you able to keep that in all those years?
Well, I'm the oldest of 5.
Okay.
So I was like the third parent, with both parents working.
Right.
So getting home, I had to make sure the other kids were doing their homework. I had to make sure dinner was ready and all those different things. So to me, in my mind, I said I didn't have time to
Right.
deal with that. And it was my fault because I disobeyed my parents' rule. I was supposed to go straight home from school. And I didn't. I had someone that invited me to come to their house, and I thought, oh, I'm getting a friend, because I didn't have friends in school.
Right.
And I thought this person was being my friend. And it turned out that in that process, her brother and 2 of his friends ended up gang raping me, and I never, like I said, never told a soul.
Right.
But that led to me being very fearful of relationships,
Right.
not only male-female relationships, but just relationships with females as well, because I felt betrayed. So that was a part of me not sure when the other shoe is going to drop, you might say. And throughout my latter years, I had other incidents that happened. In fact, going through 2 marriages that I chose. I didn't wait on God.
Okay.
I chose these, and they did not work out, and so I found myself caught up in a cycle of domestic violence.
Right.
So much so to a point where I felt less than dirt. I didn't think I was worth anything.
Right.
That's the way I felt.
That's how you felt.
And having 2 boys and needing to take care of them and wanting to bring them up in the right way, there was a part of me said I needed to get some things out of me, but I didn't know how.
Right.
I mean, I
You had
was
stuck
baptized.
everything for so
Yes.
long.
Yeah,
that
so you had suppressed.
Right.
So long, because I was too busy being a parent, too busy working, that I didn't have time to think about those
take care of
things.
yourself.
So it got to a point where after 2 marriages that were really horrible, and knowing that I still needed to be on my game to take care of my family, because I didn't want to depend on anyone else to do it, I was holding so much stuff in until one day when someone came across my path. I didn't want to talk to him. That happens to be my husband of today. We've been together 30 years now.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank you. But what turned out to be a relationship over a dime, a little 10-cent coin, has led to a 30-year relationship in which I have someone that's always had my back, and to help me to begin to learn who I am and to know that I can love myself and that I can
Right.
accept the things that have happened in my past, but I don't have to let them define who I am.
Right.
And I'll never forget one particular night, I was watching, you remember the show In the Heat of the Night?
Oh, yes.
Okay. There was a young lady had been raped, and nobody believed her, and it was just getting really bad. Well, my husband happened to be over. Well, he wasn't my husband at the time, but I started screaming at the TV. I was having a fit because nobody would listen to them, and I'm sitting there, got tears running down my face and everything, and part of my mind going, okay, he's going to leave in a minute, because who's this crazy person?
Right.
But he didn't. He actually sat there, held my hand, rubbed my back, and finally he said, so let me ask you something. Why are you feeling like this? And finally, I let it all spill out. I let what happened at 13, what happened when I was kidnapped and taken someplace and violated, what happened in failed marriages and feeling as if everybody else depended on me and I had no one to depend on. And he grabbed my hand, carried me to the bathroom, and told me to look in the mirror and say, well, what do you see there? I said, well, actually, I see this scary person with hair all wild, runny nose, teary eyed. He said, all I see is God's child.
Amen.
And that God loves you. And he sat there with me, and we talked, and we went through so many things that eventually I began to trust him.
Okay.
Not totally, because I was in that process. So part of me was like, okay, the shoe's going to drop in a minute.
Right.
I know it's going to drop in a minute. And when I finally knew that he was a keeper, He came home one day. He brought me home from work, and he left some things at the apartment. One of them happened to be a brand new silk shirt. Well, my oldest son decided he needed to polish his shoes with that brand new silk shirt.
No.
And I saw him look at him, and I'm going, okay, it's about to happen.
Right.
But he didn't. Instead, he sat down and talked with him about respecting other people's property and just having this conversation with him. I said, he didn't kill him. He's worth keeping.
Right.
And from that, I began to share more things that had happened with me. And finally, I never forget about in 2003, he said, well, what do you want in your life? And I told him, you know, I am so tired of just going to work and coming home. I really want to help other women who have gone through some of those same things I've suffered
Yes.
from. And I want them to not have to suffer in silence for so long. He said, so what exactly do you want to do? I said, well, I'm not exactly sure, but I just know I need to encourage them and let them know that there is
That they're not alone.
sunshine at the end of that long
Right.
tunnel they're going through. And eventually, Fresh Start for Women came about, and we are celebrating 10 years in September. Where we've been
Good.
working to
So that's the name of your
empower-
ministry?
Yes, Fresh Start for
Okay.
Women. We've been empowering and renewing the lives of women since 2004. We started a program in 2006 for young girls, 13 to 17, so they don't get caught up in that cycle.
Okay.
Right.
And around 2007, I decided I needed to share my story more. So I wrote the book,
Okay.
Journey to a Fresh Start, Releasing the Junk, Revealing the Jewels.
I think that's a
And
great
the reason
title.
I like that
call
title,
it Releasing the Junk is because you have so much junk.
Right.
And you can't see the precious things that are in your life because it's covered up with all that junk.
Right.
But once you learn the process of how to release it, then you're able to reveal those wonderful jewels that you already have in your life.
right.
And from that point on, I knew I needed to continue to do what I was doing.
Right.
But I also knew it was time to have a conversation with my mom because I was going to be sharing this.
And she
knew
knew
nothing.
nothing.
Right.
She had no clue. So when I finally told her, she felt bad and she felt hurt and she was so sorry that she didn't know. I said, well, Mama, you didn't know because I didn't tell
Right.
you. So don't feel bad about that. But I'm telling you now because I'm getting ready to tell other people.
Right.
Because I think for me, what I've learned is I continue to heal each and every day.
That's right.
The more I share of myself, because I've learned that you talk to people, not at people or down to people, they're more receptive. And when they know that you walked in their shoes, they feel more able to open up. So we just started doing small groups at a time. And in 10 years, we've made a small dent in an epidemic that is still growing to high incidents today. And in the county that I live in, DeKalb County, is one of the highest incidents of domestic violence. But there's still hope.
Yes.
And as long as I have breath in me, I want to be able to let others know. And besides, I have 30 grandkids. 13 of them are the girls. I don't want them suffering.
You have how many grandchildren?
I have 30 grandchildren, two great-grandchildren. 13 of the grands are girls,
Wow.
ages 7 to 20, and I don't want them to suffer any of those same things that I've gone through.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think going back to your mom too was a stepping stone for your healing. Being able to talk and share that with your mom
It was.
opened up another form of healing for you.
It did.
It did.
It
And-
really did.
yeah.
And I'm really glad I was able to do that before she left this earth. To carry that secret around with me, I think was still holding me back from being the true person I can be. And as a matter of fact, anytime people call, talk to me, or whatever, I always introduce myself as Joyous Janice. Because regardless of the things I've gone through, I still have joy in my
That's
heart.
right.
That's
God
right.
placed it
That's
there.
right.
Yes.
So everybody calls me, my job, Joyous Janice. Every place I go, it's Joyous Janice. That's how I introduce myself, regardless of what I'm going through.
Right, right. So you're living above your circumstances and letting your
Absolutely.
circumstances, instead of your circumstances living above you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And that's great. And I think we talked about this at the very beginning. It's great that you can share your story because so often we get so fearful of being real with people out of fear of rejection or how are they going to respond to me if I tell you truly my story, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
That's the one thing that I remember that I had that hesitancy when I finally shared that information with my husband. And To know, here it is, one dime, and 30 years later, we're still together.
What's a couple things in your book I want to kind of go over? I notice here you have a list. It says it has 2 columns. One, what lists what you thought of yourself, and the other was a list of what you thought of others. And then down here it says you were horrified.
Actually, that list is actually, I sat down one night and I thought about what I thought of myself, and very little of it, if any, was positive.
Right.
And then I had a list of what I thought other people thought of me, and they kind of mirrored each other. So I realized I had allowed other people to define who I am.
Right.
So it was time to cross that out, change, and set a new list, and know that I'm loved, I'm beautiful, I'm loyal.
Absolutely.
I can be that best friend. I can be a great mother. I'm a great communicator. I can encourage and inspire someone.
That's right.
So I took all those positives and eliminated that junk, so I can have all the jewels that are in my
Hence,
life.
releasing the junk, revealing the jewels.
Yes.
And here's another topic that I think that often people can struggle with: forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yes. Well, that's true. And actually, on Fresh Start for Women, we just recently started a blog called Fresh Start Mondays. And the last one I just posted for this week was about forgiveness and the importance of it. And have you noticed? You can easily forgive somebody else before you forgive yourself.
That's another thing. Oftentimes we do things and we don't forgive ourselves.
Right, we're so hard on ourselves. Right.
We don't
So
forgive
did you
ourselves.
experience that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was able to forgive my ex-husbands. I was able to forgive the people that harmed me. I was able to forgive my family for what I thought they'd done to me. But recognizing that the reason they couldn't do it anymore because I didn't allow them in. Okay? But then finally, as I was sharing in the blog that we wrote recently, was that I sat down and wrote a pen, and I wrote a letter to myself and told me, I forgive you for the choices that you made. I forgive you for those decisions that didn't turn out right. I forgive you for loving somebody that didn't love you. I forgive you for accepting less than what you deserve. But now, tear it up, burn it, release it,
It has no
and
hold
start
over you.
taking in all that positive that now is waiting for you.
Because forgiveness frees you.
Yes.
It frees you. The other person's really not in any bondage.
Not at
They
all.
probably don't even think twice about it. They may, but if they may not, but it actually frees you. When we can forgive ourselves and let that forgiveness go, we can walk in a whole new level of freedom and healing.
You sure can, because you walk lighter. You walk straighter. And you can walk with a smile, regardless of what you're going through.
And you can't wait for that forgiveness. You have to take hold of
It's
that forgiveness.
active.
Yes.
They talk about that word. That's a big little word.
It is.
It is.
It is.
It really is. But it's an action word.
It is.
You have to put something behind it in order for it to happen.
Right.
So tell us your website if someone wants to get in contact with you.
Well, they can go to www.freshstartforwomen.org.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page on Facebook, and they can, if they want to contact me, they can contact me at janice@freshstartforwomen.org, or they can. If they go on there, they'll find their phone number. They can call 404-543-1017. I am always available to share my story because I know each time I touch someone, I've helped someone, and hopefully they will pass it on and help someone.
Good.
That's right.
Well, we certainly have to have you to come back on here because there's a couple of other things I'd like to go over, but because of time, with courage, I'm sure that in communication and organize, and wow, this is in faith.
And
Yes.
But thank you for being a
Thank
guest.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank